Alrighty, guys, back again. iCoach Nutrition VIP members, and we will cut this for the new iCoach podcast dropping soon. But guys, today I have a very special guest, somebody that just recently joined the All In Elite. So congrats to her, Miss Casey Tom. How are you?
Hi, it's so good to be here with you, Justin, and finally get to chat with you. Everything's so great.
I'm excited for it. You are your name got brought up quite a bit here in Miami Beach this last weekend. So I'm excited to be able to learn more about you and kind of dive into your story and dive into kind of the mindset, nutrition, all these pieces of the puzzle that you're bringing success to your clients with. So let's start off. Let's dive into you. Who are you? What do you do? How did you get into this crazy fitness nutrition world? And what are you kind of currently doing now?
Oh my gosh. Okay. We could write a book about this, right? We'll try to keep it short. But so I nutrition and training has been my whole life. So I played soccer in college for University of Kansas, and I wanted to be a strength conditioning coach at first. I thought I wanted to do strength conditioning. I had a head injury, and I have 3 plates and 11 screws in my head to this day. I only got to play 1 year of soccer because I was told I wasn't going to walk again. It was a fluke accident, and I got accidentally hit in the head with a softball bat on the back here, the back side of my right side of my brain. And on both sides of our head, we have the silent part of our brain, right? So literally, if I would have been hit a millimeter higher or lower, I'd have either lost my hearing or could have lost my sight. But the impact caused so much damage just to my neuromuscular recruitment. So just essentially when I froze in fetal position on the ground, they said that I might not wake my nerves back on essentially. And so, but through working with a muscle activation technique provider and extensive therapy, I was able to walk 6 months later and then run and whatnot. So it was through getting therapy and having someone change my life that way, Justin. That's when I realized in college, I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to change as many people's lives and have impact on people like what this MAT provider had on me to be able to move again. And so through that, going through college and doing strength conditioning, graduate, I went into actually the personal training field first and became a personal trainer educator in Vegas for a company and was doing education for ACE and NASM and educating fitness professionals. And it was through there I always knew okay, there's a missing piece, right? It's not just about fitness. But then I really wanted to go into the realm of trying different fitness activities or just fitness competitions, whether it was Battle Frog or competitions for figure, just to be in our client's mind, right? Because we want to be able to meet our client where they need to be met. So long story short, I did a bunch of different bikini competitions and my diet just got ruined. So I came off the competition really hard. My coach did not offboard me properly, and I gained close to 30 pounds in a matter of 10 days. So what I thought was who I was, I just immediately lost myself. And this was about 12 years ago. And I was like, wow, who am I? Because you gain all this weight and I didn't know what it was from, what was going on with me. And my boyfriend at the time, who I thought I was going to marry, left me because he was no longer sexually attracted to me. He was like, I can't have sex with you. You're just not attractive. And it was all I realized, wow, that's external love, not internal. So from there, Justin, just a downward spiral there, just trying to figure out what's wrong with my nutrition. How do I figure this out? And got my degree in exercise science. I went back to school and I went through the Kresser Institute, became an FDN, went through precision nutrition, basically every kind of nutrition education I could get. I went and I pursued because I knew I never ever wanted to see a female or male feel the way that I had felt. Because during that time as well, talk about hitting rock bottom. Tried out to even be an escort in Vegas because I was looking for love on an external factor so that if someone loved me externally, because I was not comfortable in my skin, then that was going to complete me and didn't realize that. So once I hit rock bottom there and realized, wow, it's so much more and it's about nutrition, your mindset, that's when the game changed for me. And I just focused heavily on nutrition. I've been focusing on nutrition for probably about the last 8 years now, just specifically. In the last 4 years, just completely owning my own business with nutrition. And so from taking these different journeys from not accepting my body, not accepting self-worth, and then finding my path back with God and being an active Christian back again, it's been a huge part of my life, is realizing, wow, it's so much more. So now with where I'm at and what I focus on is really, really, really helping men and women who are struggling to lose weight understand how they can and lose it permanently and sustainably for the rest of their life. And that's where I'm currently working with right now.
Wow. That was the best job I've ever seen, and taking such a powerful story with so many components and like bringing it into this like short little explanation so fast. Man, there's so many things I want to dive into on that. Wow. Like, so you have quite the story. Like you've obviously overcame, a lot of adversity in your life. And like, obviously, kind of like about my story. I think you mentioned earlier, like some of the similarities in both of our stories. But I think that like everything that we've overcome up to this point, it's like what gives you the power to be able to help other people and pay it forward. So that's so awesome. Like that's a powerful story.
Oh, thank you so much. I totally agree with you on that. With like the more experiences that you have, and then the better that you actually can coach. I truly, truly believe. So I don't believe I would be the coach that I am today if I didn't have, or I hadn't gone through all those adversities and been through all those different trials and tribulations. I wouldn't be able to have the empathy that I have today for clients, be able to have that ability to truly be their guide, to really lead them down their hero's journey and down their path, and have the patience for them and have like the confidence in them and the joy for them if I hadn't have been through what I've gone through. And so that I truly believe like it's built so much character within me as well to really allow me to like, be the best coach I can be.
Wow. There's so many things that like resonate with me on that. Like, I mean, I feel like we're like twins over here.
Yeah.
So, I really want to dive into like, so obviously like you work with men, you work with women, like, obviously like a big component of fat loss is like, getting people these days to just like be able to like stay consistent with it. And like, obviously with that, there's a lot of like mindset that goes into it. I always joke, people like come to us for nutrition coaching, but really it's like the mindset that's developed along the way. So talk to us maybe a little bit, like let's dive into the conversation of like, what are some common things that you see with like let's just say like the last 50 clients you've worked with, like what are some similarities that you see in terms of what they're coming to you with?
The biggest similarities I see is like they've tried that. They say they've tried everything to lose their weight or to have better energy, to feel more comfortable in their skin. They said they've literally tried everything, whether it's like some cleanse or some challenge online or some challenge in their gym. So they've tried all of these different things, but nothing has ever worked. And so then the biggest thing that I come back with them is we are all here right at this very moment. And the reason I'm where I'm at, where you're at, Justin, is all based off of the habits and the behaviors and the actions that we have taken throughout our entire lives that have gotten us to the point where we're at. So I always break down, okay, so if you've jumped from cleanse to cleanse or challenge to challenge or different diets, we have to look first like the root of like, where's the patience factor that comes into it, and understanding what's your habits, what are your behaviors, what are the actions that you're actually taking towards that. And so when I see like those big commonalities, Justin, like the biggest thing, the biggest aha moment that people have when they come to me is, no diet's going to work. I could give you the best darn nutrition prescription on the planet, like the absolute best prescription. But if you're not willing to change habits, your behaviors, your actions, and your mindset around that, nothing is going to work. Nothing will work unless you're really willing to just dig your heels into the ground and change your habits and your behaviors. And those are the aha moments that have been so huge for my clients recently, really in like the last year, really like having those moments. And that's what creates that sustainability, right? Is really having, once you have those habits and behaviors in place and the mindset portion along with the actions to take, nothing can stop you from being successful as long as you have those grounded implementations.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't agree more. I think a lot of kind of our approaches are probably similar in that. I think that like we live in this world, right, where it's like the all or nothing mentality, right? Like everybody wants to go completely crazy strict for 30 days and then whatever else, happens after that. And so we always talk about kind of like, it's so important to like get into your head that like you're playing the long game. Like what's the alternative, right? Like even if you do lose weight or whatever really fast, like you're still going to have to work on yourself for the rest of your life anyways. So it's like, if you can get into your head that like you're playing the long game and like this is for forever, like I think it kind of gives you some peace of mind, and it doesn't allow you to be that person that like steps on the scale every single day and lets that dictate how your day is going to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's like the thing is like, right, like when it comes to playing the long game, it's the patience factor. Like you said, like we live in a society where everything is given to us at the drop of a hat. If you want food, you order it from an app on your phone. Nothing you have to work for today. So people are confused. Honestly, it's almost like the way that we've been raised in societal culture is just made people believe that everything is given to them. So why should weight loss be any different? Why should performance be any different? Why can't I just wake up and perform better in a week? Or why can't I have this weight off in 30 days? And not understanding that it didn't take you 30 days to put that weight on. So to have that expectation that it's going to come off in 30 days is an unrealistic expectation. So I think more than ever, people are needing coaches just because our society is broken into the regards of like how we're really developing culture and healthy habits. So coaches are needed more than ever to really guide people to understand like to really live a sustainably healthy life without having yo-yo dieting, without having a roller coaster effect, without getting on the hamster wheel on and off, and just honestly breaking themselves over and over again. Coaches are needed more than ever. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. I'm such a big believer in like everybody needs a coach. Coaches need coaches. Like, you know, it's such a pivotal piece of like continuing to like develop yourself as a human being. Like, I'm such a big believer in like personal development. Like, it's something that's like changed my life. Like, back when I was like 18 years old, I had like, I started personal training. I had this girl that I was training, and her husband was like a multi-millionaire. And like, I went to dinner with him one night, and he was like, you know, he was like asking me like just kind of like my dreams and my vision and everything that like I wanted out of life. And I asked him a question. I was like, hey, like, what would be like your number one recommendation for me to like find success like you have? And he basically said that he was going to email me this list of like 50 books that he would recommend me reading. And I went and bought all 50 of the books. And that next day at the gym, I was like, all right, I bought them. And he was like, you bought all 50 of them? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. You're super successful. Like, you told me if I read these books, like, this is going to make me more. So the point of it is like, from a very early age, like, I realized that like, God, the information is out there everywhere. There's so many valuable like mentors, podcasts, audiobooks, like whatever it may be, like whether it's formal mentorship or just, you know, getting mentored by afar. I was like, before I started getting mentored by Jason, I was like, you've been mentoring me for the last 2 years for free. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, I'm a huge believer. I think it can be so powerful, especially if like you feel stuck, because like you only get one life. Like if you've been struggling for like years and years and years, like you might as well hire somebody that's going to allow you to move forward.
Right, 100%. And then you get to that point too, Justin, where you know people need the coaches, right? But then it's them putting their pride and their ego in their back pocket to really allow themselves to like let the walls down, let the glass walls to be seen, to be vulnerable, and to be willing. Because more than anything, people just have to be willing to want to really succumb to having a coach and to being able to have that guidance. Because there's not a single person on the planet, like you just said, that doesn't need some kind of guidance in their life to really help them live their best life and live elevated and to live life to their fullest. But it's also creating that safe space. Or also I see as coaches, a big missing link is coaches creating that space, that safe space and environment for people to really want to be willing and willing to be vulnerable, to let their guard down to coach. And that's another thing that you see all these coaches that just don't really have that like personable piece, and you can't coach that and you can't teach that. You either really care and are willing and wanting to make people better, or it's not about that. And that's another big component of coaching, is just allowing people to feel safe, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, I always get the question, it's like, what do you think, or what are you most excited for like the nutrition industry going forward and all these things, right? And I'm like, honestly, like, I'm a little scared, because I think the most important aspect of coaching is like what you said, that human connection, that human interaction. And so I love technology, and as technology continues to advance, that's great. But like that personal touch, like this right here, like you and I talking like to each other, like human interaction, I think will always prevail.
Oh, 100%. And that's like the biggest thing, especially people like with like the fat loss journey, which is what the people I work with, they need that constant, like they need that accountability. They need that connection. They need that reminder that this is not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in 30 days. Heck, it's not going to happen in 90 days or sometimes even 6 months. But to have like that fat loss, and like people become successful in their health when they really have an understanding of how to get there. Most people just have no idea how the heck to get to their goal. So you just go out there and willy-nilly try anything they can. And then they end up more broken than from where they were in the beginning. So that's what's like also so important, is laying out like that complete groundwork and framework for them of this is the steps it's going to take to get you to your goal, and really allowing them to see that big picture and understanding. And that's so important with any nutrition journey.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that, like, I mean, you hit it right on the head with like the way that coaches, present themselves like on social media. Like, I think that's why, like, being transparent and being vulnerable and like, highlighting some of your losses and things like that, it's just being relatable and not putting yourself on a pedestal so that people will actually like want to work with you it's, it's what's winning right now. Right. So
Yeah, yeah. The thing is, people need to know that you're actually a real human and that you're not perfect. People don't want to see perfect coaches out there. They want to know that you're an actual human, that you have your pitfalls, you have your trials in life, you have your downfalls. You're not perfect. You have things that you mess up and that you screw up on, and that you don't have this perfect like highlight reel of a life. And the more relatable that you can be to somebody, the more successful you're going to be with them as your coach, because they actually trust you.
yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I mean, and really, it's like I would never want to get led by somebody that's never had to overcome anything in their life, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
I would never want to go work with somebody that like just had the most cush life and was handed everything on a silver platter. Like, I need help overcoming something. So like this person had better overcome adversity in their life.
Yeah, I could not agree more. Couldn't agree more.
So Casey, you just had a beautiful little baby there 4 months ago, right?
4 months.
So I'm interested, like, just kind of like I guess kind of overall like philosophy tips, like however you want to kind of go about this. But like for me, who's going to be a new dad soon as well, like what are your like biggest like tips thus far for maybe like new parents out there with nutrition specifically?
Oh my gosh. Like for nutrition specifically, like the biggest thing that I've hit with especially my husband the last 4 months, like when it comes to nutrition, and being a nutrition coach myself though, it's being prepared. It's having food ready in the fridge. Like I know we can't preach enough to our clients, but like I'm essentially in my client's shoes at this point, like with the fat loss and with the food and the meal prep, right? So the more food that you can have easily prepared, whether like you have family in town that can like cook some food for you in advance, having in the fridge, you need things that are easy to grab and go. And so even if like you just like your husband or like, you like the wife, like even myself, like you take just 2 hours a week to just prep some really easy food in the fridge, whether it's rice and sweet potatoes or like some chicken and steak, or have some cut up vegetables that are easy to grab and go. That's what you need, because especially as breastfeeding moms, like you're hungry all the time and you literally just feel like a milking machine and you just have to eat. I mean, you're just ravenous. And if you don't have food readily available, then you just get pissed. And so you just need to make sure that, especially like dads that are watching this and your wives are like breastfeeding, have food ready for them at all costs and all times. And that's the biggest thing, is like you can't control how much you're going to sleep because you're at your baby's beck and call. But at the end of the day, if you can be nourished, at least you're going to lose sleep and you're going to have stress. You're going to have some extra biofeedback factors that are affecting you, but you can control your nutrition. And if you can at least control that, then you're winning the game by a long shot, as long as you just have food prepared and you're getting fueled. No matter how tired you are or stressed, get the fuel in your body and it's going to make things so much easier.
Yeah, I think that's great advice, right? Like just planning ahead, setting yourself up for success the best you can. So that's an interesting question. How, like, you're somebody that obviously like tracks your food and like does all that stuff. So like with your like with macros, like, or from a calorie standpoint, how much more calories do you find yourself eating breastfeeding versus like before?
Oh my, breastfeeding, I'm eating 800 to 1,000 more calories than I do if I'm not breastfeeding. So right now I'm eating 3,625 calories a day, and I'm 5'2" and weigh 135 pounds. It's like, and I'm getting that food in because you're just ravenous. Like I can't explain it, Justin. As soon as like you're pumping or you're feeding, you just become hungry again all of a sudden. And it's high quality food too. You don't want to just eat crap carbohydrate or crap food. And it feels like a second job. It really, like if I'm not pumping or breastfeeding, I'm eating. Like I was just like drinking my shake on this call with you. I mean, I'm just constantly having to fuel myself so that I can have energy throughout the day, and also to go work out, but also have that extra food volume, fats and proteins, which creates breast milk, to then create the extra breast milk for my baby. So literally like 800 to 1,000 calories is what I'm eating extra every day.
Wow. Yeah, that's, I mean, I just wanted to touch on that because obviously there's moms out there that are watching this. And that's a big question that comes up, with breastfeeding and really just like, you know, when they get pregnant, right? And like, how many should I eat more food, and all these questions that kind of come up. So that's interesting. It definitely, I think, gives people some perspective there, because that's, I think, one of the biggest like problems that gets presented is that, okay, cool, like I'm supposed to eat this many calories, but like it's really hard for me to do that. Like I think the hunger response sometimes like is different with moms too. So it's interesting to see. Like I think for you, you're like extremely active. I think even like through pregnancy, right?
Oh yeah, I'm very active.
And so obviously you're consuming quite, I think if some people heard that, they would be shocked by how much you're eating.
And that's the thing, so that's because I'm active too. So if like women that aren't working out, they're probably consuming between 500, 800 extra calories a day, but I need to move. But that was the hardest part, is like not being, like I went on walks like 24 hours after having my baby, but not lifting for 6 weeks was like the biggest challenge for me, was having that patience, because I felt like a rock star, but you still have to be patient with your body. And so I was, but so still eating that. But the more that you're feeding your baby and the more milk you want to produce, that's the more calories that you want to eat, or the women want to eat, so that they can have like backstock for their baby and whatnot. So I'm trying to produce as much as I can, because I wanted to have breast milk for 2 years, but I don't want to pump for 2 years or breastfeed. So the more that I can eat now and produce now, then the sooner I can stop pumping and breastfeeding, and then she'll have a supply.
Got it. That's awesome. So I guess transitioning back into the mindset piece here, because I know that's one thing that like it's funny. I always say that like I'm really good with like mindset, because of like the mindset like I've had to develop for myself.
Right.
And you obviously the same way. So like, talk to me a little bit about like, okay, let's say for instance, you probably see this all the time. Like we start off like a client's doing really well in the beginning, and then like life happens, and then like, maybe they like start falling off. And so like, what is some of like the mindset aspect of just getting people to almost like revisit that original goal and that original why behind the goal? Because I think sometimes people like, they come to us with this big goal, but then like something happens or whatever, and they just kind of start to forget about why they came to us in the first place.
So with that mindset piece, for me, or especially the clients, it's having that consistent interaction with them. So we do a mindset call. So with my clients, it's having like that mindset piece every single week, because no one comes in with the perfect mindset. Usually it's a broken one. And they don't know how to have patience. They don't understand like what that looks like and seeing that vision. So assigning weekly mindset homeworks is so important for them to build that. So they have to build that muscle, right? They have to build like a yes muscle and a no muscle in their brain. They have to build that mindset brain, just like we have to build muscles in our body aesthetically. If you want to look good, you have to consistently work out. Just like if you want a great mindset, you have to consistently work that brain. So in order to do that, you have to do consistent exercises every single week. So I have mindset exercises that I give with my clients, and they have to fill them out every single week. And then they have a check-in with me every 2 weeks with my mindset coach that I have on staff that works through them, like to basically like an onion, right? You have to break down the onion layers and build them back up. So we find out like what the root cause is as to why they're at where they're at. Then we build up those habits and behaviors that then complement the new mindset that they're trying to deliver, right? But that can't happen unless you're doing it consistently. So we have weekly mindset check-ins that are super important for them. So that's most important.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, I think like that accountability and like, just like you said, like being able to communicate with them, like, with us, like clients that work with us one-on-one, they have like unlimited access to us via like text message. And so like, obviously that's like constant communication if they need it.
Oh yeah.
Dive in a little bit though, if you don't mind. I would love to like just learn a little bit more, like maybe like an example of like what one of those sheets could look like, or like what maybe some of these like mindset activities look like.
Oh yeah. So weekly they get like a mindset behavior sheet that's like asking them, like honestly, they rate themselves on like a scale of like 1 to 10. Like, how do you feel that you did with your habits and behaviors? Because they have habit and behavior homework, depending on what they're working on, whether it's like a habit of turning their phone off an hour before, like we'll use like the phone example, like a lot of clients have is like having that blue light before they go to bed, right? So it's a lot of habits. It's okay, I'm going to put my phone in the other room an hour before I go to bed, and I'm not going to sleep with my phone by my bed. So if some clients do, part of like their gift box for me is they get an actual alarm clock that they get it put by their beds. They don't actually use their phone, because a lot of them say, well, I use my phone as my alarm clock. Well, that's a really easy fix. You buy an alarm clock. So part of that is, okay, what's the habit we're focused on this week? And what's the mindset portion? On a scale of 1 to 10, rate yourself how you did. How is your support system? Like, your environment is so crucial when it comes to especially your mindset. How is your environment around you during your work this week? What do you feel you could have done better? What are 3 action steps that you feel that you need to take this week in order to elevate your habits and behaviors from last week? And then at the bottom, any other questions they have. So they fill that sheet out every single week, respond every single week about their habits and behaviors. And then they have a bi-weekly session with my mindset coach that's like an hour long, like what's going on in the subconscious, because it's our subconscious behaviors that deliver the habits and behaviors externally. Then they have a session every week, so they have to really dive deep with my mindset coach to figure out what's really still holding back. And then we figure that out. Then that's the homeworks that we work on then for the next 2 weeks to really help to just retrain that subconscious. And also that then changes their mindset, which then changes their habits, their behaviors, and their actions.
Got it. That's powerful. I like that. I think it's, it goes back to like the conversation of like creating awareness in your own life. I think a lot of us, like, we just kind of fall into this like routine of just like, going throughout life. And like, we sometimes forget to like take that step back and like continue to assess and reassess. And then, also have somebody that has that 10,000 foot view that maybe can give you a more biased opinion. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. Like, I go through that myself. Like, same with like with Jason as a coach. Like, I have like a mindset coach too, like that keeps me on track. Because if I don't have someone keeping me constantly on track, it's so easy to get lost or get off track and just wonder, okay, wait, what was I supposed to be doing again? Or what is it I'm working on? To have that accountability, to have that complete like map drawn out is so crucial for people to know that, okay, why am I doing all this work? Okay, wait, yeah, now I know. Here's my map. Here's like the road that I'm going down. Here are the different pit stops that are going to get me to my destination. And to be able to map that out for clients is so huge. So they can see, here's my end result. Here's where I'm at now. Here are the action steps I need to take in between that are going to get me to my end result.
Yeah, I love that. I completely agree. So like, knowing that obviously like you get mentored, you have a coach, and like same thing with me, this is always something I'm interested in asking. What is the number one thing that you recommend doing right when you get off the call? So what's the number one thing you do when you get off the call with your mentor, or what's the number one thing you recommend clients do right when they get off the call with you?
I immediately get into action from what they give me to do. So second, like I get my clients on the phone, I give them action steps that they have to take immediately within the first 24 hours. These are your action steps, go. And that's the same thing with like, I got the phone, get off the phone, my mentor, Jason, like, here's my action steps. All right, I got to get into implementing right away, because if not, I get anxious, like, oh, what do I have to do? And clients get anxious, like, oh, I have all this stuff to do. Well, if you get into action beats anxiety all day long. So that's one thing I learned from another one of my coaches, Xander. So I have 3 different coaches I work with actually, but it's all like part of like keeping me accountable and making me my best self, but it's getting into action. So that's the first thing I always do when I get off the phone with one of my mentors, is getting into action immediately and not just letting it sit. 'Cause if you do, then you get back to it the next day and you haven't touched like your action steps. You're like, wait, what was I supposed to do? So if you just immediately into action, then you create that momentum. Same thing with our clients.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I mean, because you see it so much, right? You see like, we have this conversation, like the motivation's there, like you have everything in your head, and then like you go back to work and whatever happens, and then you just forget about everything and you don't take action,
Yep.
So it's the little things that matter, right? It seems like such a small thing, but it's like, no, like as soon as you hang up, like go. So one thing we have our clients do is like, as soon as we get off the call, they go right into the private Facebook group and they post, these were my like 3 to 5 takeaways from the call. And here's like my 3 to 5 focus areas until our next call. And so it's
I love that. That is so great. And like, you created like communal accountability, which is awesome.
Yeah, and people learn from it too, right? So like people will read through and they're like, oh, like that's a good idea or whatever, right? So yeah, it's super powerful for sure. Well, look, I could sit here and probably talk to you all day long and keep asking questions, but like if you could give the listeners, the viewers, like your number one piece of advice for 2019, assuming everybody's goal here is to lose some body fat, maybe put on some muscle, improve body composition, maybe improve their mindset. What's the number one recommendation that you can give them before they start pursuing like any of those goals?
Patience. be patient. Before they pursue their goal, it's coming to terms with it's not going to happen overnight. So getting in that right mindset and understanding, the more patient that you are and the more consistent that you are, the more you're going to win. So patience and consistency will trump anything all day long, as long as you have that patience and that consistency.
I love that. Do you think people should, like, if they're first starting off, because right, it's 2019, it's January, a lot of people just started like New Year, New Me or whatever, right? So like, do you think people should do something like in terms of like recording and assessing? Like, do you think it's something like a journal or whatever it may be, like every single day or once a week, or like, what do you think that people should start to do to make sure that they have data moving forward?
Oh, absolutely. So one thing I 100% recommend is journaling every day. First thing you do and get up in the morning is journaling like every single day. The first couple things you're grateful for. What are the 3 action steps you're going to take? And then at nighttime, you're going to journaling the same thing. Like, what were the 3 wins that you had that day? So creating that confidence and independence. So journaling so they can see that, but then also taking their progress pictures every single 2 weeks. So not every week. Give yourself 2 weeks to like actually see some work happen. But pictures say 1,000 words, as you know, Justin. Pictures are everything. So for me, it's like right now you want to start your journey. Take some pictures right now and have that be your motivation. Like put those pictures up so you can see them every day. So you know you're never going to go back to that same person. And you're going to continue to progress forward. So taking photos every 2 weeks, but then journaling. Like every single one of my clients gets what's called the 5-minute journal. So every client gets a 5-minute journal as soon as they come on, and it just asks them like what they're grateful for, what's going to make today great, their daily affirmations, and 3 things that were great that happened that day, and what could they have done better. So creating that, just like those habits every day, so then they can look back and be like, wow, like I really like have come a long way with my mindset. And then the pictures is like public accountability for themselves, and they can actually see aesthetically and externally how well they're doing.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I mean, I have that journal. I have, it's so funny. I have like the productivity journal. I have like,
yes.
I have like Tom Bilyeu's impact theory journal.
I love Tom Bilyeu's.
But yeah, it's, you know, it's one of those things. It's kind of like I use the reference of the example when we first have a client like start off with us and we're like assessing like their food quality, we'll have them like take pictures of their food.
Oh, that's great.
And so if you look in our like text message thread, like when they first start with us, you'll see the pictures of their food, right? And then like throughout the process and by the end of the time that they're working with us, then they look at their food quality and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I used to eat like that. You know what I mean?
Right. Totally.
So
that's such great accountability. That's great.
I think it's, you know, in any journey that you're going to embark of transformation, like whether it's whatever, right? Like just being able to like really fall in love with the process and like really like fall in love with like the journey that you're embarking on. Like it's, we forget about the wins along the way. And so being able to have that data, that journal or whatever, just to be able to look back on and like kind of be that motivator that you need when maybe you have that negative voice in your head.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because like counting wins in your mindset's everything.
Yeah. Well, hey, I want to respect your time. I know you're super busy, and I obviously we'll have to have you on again here, and we'll dive into something else. But where can everybody find you at? I know obviously website, social medias, all these things. But yeah,
everyone can find me like at iCanNutritionCoaching.com is my website, and then also like Casey Tom Nutrition is Instagram. iCan Nutrition is Facebook, so they can find me in all those places.
Nice. I love the name. I can.
Thanks.
Hey, iCoach, right?
I know, iCoach, I can. It's so great. And I saw yours. I was like, gosh, like we are so similar. This is so great.
That's awesome. All right,
well, thank you, Justin, so much. This has been so much fun with you. Like, seriously, you're such a gem. I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on today. And yeah, like I said, we'll put this up. It'll be on actual like podcast here soon when all that stuff launches. But for now, yeah, I'd love to have you here like in the members side, and you're part of the little tribe of interviewees that we have. So
awesome.